Coming.
We'll just be taking 2-3 more minutes. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field, frozen with snow. The quote, miracles do happen when you spend energy on your dreams as you do to your fear, is rightly said. So believe in your dreams and always remember that you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach the stars to change the world. A very pleasant good morning to this vivacious gathering of this virtual gala event, Sri S.N. Ganju Memorial Interschool Debate 2022. Sri S.N. Ganju Memorial Inter-School Debate is hosted annually in the loving memory of our erstwhile General Secretary, Sri S.N. Ganjuji, a great visionary and a founder member of Vishwabharati Women's Welfare Association. Sri S.N. Ganjuji was an able administrator and was one of the guiding stars of the formative period of Vishwabharati chain of institutions. A reverent soul, an apostle of kindness, a visionary who left no stone unturned to turn impossible to possible. Sri S.N. Ganjuji held our hearts, seized our hands with warmth. His deep devotion made him a shining emblem of all heavenly virtues. To perpetuate his memory so that his values and principles leave an indelible mark on the generations to come, the SN Ganju Memorial Interschool debate saw its beginning in the year 2003. Each passing year saw a number of participants competing with each other for the rolling trophy. The idea behind initiating such a venture is to pay our homage to the departed soul as well as to bring the debating talent to the forefront. On this momentous occasion, I accord a very warm and congenial welcome to the most esteemed dignitaries who are gracing the occasion with their benign presence. We are honored to have amongst us today Dr. Professor Sri R.K. Shivpuri Sir, Vice President of Vishwabharati Women's Welfare Institution, a profound scholar and an educationist par excellence. He has had an illustrious career graph for more than 43 years in numerous capacities behind him. My words fall short to welcome you, sir. Thank you so much for your benign presence. We also have with us another prominent persona, Sri V.K. Ganju, sir. Sir, you are the driving force of our institution. We welcome your gracious presence too. At this point, let me also take the golden opportunity to welcome the esteemed intellectual members of the jury, learned principals of our sister concerns and other prestigious schools, teachers in charges of the participating schools, and the young debaters who will put their views forward on the topic of the day, texting is hampering our vocabulary. A lamp emits such a light that makes the path bright. Dispelling the darkness around, lamp illumines every side. Those who go on the trail, the lamp shows the right way. To fulfill its aim, the lamp serves the world with all its might. So let us witness the beautiful moments of lamp lighting ceremony.
शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्परब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपज्योतिर्परब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपो हरतु मे पापम् सन्ध्यादीपनमोऽस्तु ते ओ दीपब्रह्मरूपस्त्वं ज्योतिषां प्रभुरव्ययः ओ दीपब्रह्मरूपस्त्वं ज्योतिषां प्रभुरव्ययः आरोग्यं देहि पुत्रांश्च मतिं स्वच्छामि मे सदा रवेरस्तं समारभ्य यावत् सूर्योदयो भवेत् रवेरस्तं समारभ्य यावत् सूर्योदयो भवेत् यस्य तिष्ठे गृहे दीपः तस्य न
May we all live in harmony. May the darkness of ignorance be swept away by the dawn of light and self realization. On this note, I would like to invite Avantika Mogha and Shreya Das of class 10th to take over the proceedings. Over to you, Avantika and Shreya.
Good morning, respected sir, learned jury members, principal ma'am, teachers, and my dear debaters. I am Shriya Das,
And I am Avantika Moga.
and we are the hosts for today's debate competition. A day without prayer is a day without blessing. A life without prayer is a life without power. In happy moments, praise God. In painful moments, trust God. And every moment, thank God. Prayer is the surge of heart. It is a simple look turned towards heaven. So let us witness the divine symphony and invocation dance.
जटाटवीगलज्जल प्रवाह पावितस्थले कलेवलं व्यलम्बितां भुजङ्गतुङ्गमालिकां जटाटवीगलज्जल प्रवाह पावितस्थले कलेवलं व्यलम्बितां भुजङ्गतुङ्गमालिकां डमड्डमड्डमड्डमन्निनादवड्डमर्वयं चकार चण्डताण्डवं तनोतु नः शिव शिवम् जटाकटाह सम्भ्रम भ्रम निलिम्प निर्झरी विलोल वीचि वल्लरी विराजमान मूर्धनि धगद्धगद्धगज्ज्वलल्ललाट पट्ट पावके किशोर चन्द्रशेखरे रतिः ॐ नमः शिवाय धराधरेन्द्र नन्दिनी विलास बन्धु बन्धुरस्फुरद्दिगन्त सन्तति प्रमोदमान मानसे
The school choir has certainly uplifted our mood with their harmonious and pleasant performance. Today, we are here to pay rich tribute to the memory of Sri S.N. Ganju, our erstwhile General Secretary, the pioneer of this annual English debate. Vishwabharati Public School Dwarka has been organizing this competition for the last 19 years with great enthusiasm in his fond memory. Now, may I please request Mrs. Madhuri Mishra ma'am, HOD English, to pay tribute and respect to Sri S.N. Ganju ji.
Happy greetings and a very good morning to all present here. On this momentous occasion, I extend a hearty welcome to the esteemed members of jury, our reverend members of management, principals of our sister concerns, students, and teachers of the participating schools, and all my dear students. I feel greatly honored and privileged for having been given the opportunity to apprise you with the Vishwabharati Women's Welfare Institutions and about the contribution of late Sri S.N. Ganju in this journey. I proudly proclaim that Vishwabharati Women's Welfare Institutions have acquired the status of premier institutes and are doing excellent job in the field of education under the mentorship of our very learned and highly educated members of management. On April 1951, at Srinagar, whence this beautiful journey commenced, Vishwabharati Women's Institute was started in Kashmir Valley in the city of Srinagar at Rainawari. As a tiny kindergarten school with missionary zeal and dedication, the small school flourished its various wings as higher secondary school and degree college. The prime mission being to carry forward the noble efforts of its founding fathers of serving the society through teaching and research and to make the youth responsible citizens of tomorrow. Then, the institutions were established in Jammu. The Vishwabharati College of Education, Jammu, was established in 1979, and Vishwabharati Higher Secondary School, Udaiwala, Jammu, was established in 1992. These institutions aim at the physical, intellectual, moral, ethical, aesthetic, and cultural development of the students under the guidance of dedicated staff members. Vishwabharati Public School Noida was established in the year 1889 with about 600 students, and today it has 4,000 plus students on its roll. School believes in imparting quality education with special emphasis on holistic development of the students. It is also a member of the nation's progressive schools and is reputed for its excellent results, humility, and high moral value. Vishwabharati Public School Greater Noida is also a senior secondary school, a unit of Vishwabharati Women's Welfare Institution. It was founded in the year 2003 and is one of the leading institutions which provides a safe, tranquil, stimulating, and intellectually challenging environment suited to the learning needs of each pupil. Vishwabharati Public School Ghaziabad, affiliated to CBSE, was established in 2015 in the heart of Ghaziabad and is spread in more than 2 acres of campus. It provides equal opportunities for the differently able children through its inclusive setup and aims to eliminate prejudice and discrimination for developing an environment where all children are valued. The school is in its budding state and is committed to the cause of enriching and empowering the lives of children, parents, and the community in its journey towards newer frontiers of learning. Last but not the least, the host school for today's momentous occasion, Vishwabharati Public School, Dwarka. This is an English medium senior secondary school affiliated to CBSE. It was established in the year 1999 with the objective of imparting quality education and aims at preparing the future generation to face the challenges of the dynamic world order. The greatest strength of Vishbharati institutions lies in the true community spirit that exists with the management, staff, students, parents, and all our well wishers. Our objective is to mold and help the individuals to grow and develop into a socially accepted and morally upright human beings, free to make his or her own choices in life. It is said that greatness lies not in being strong, but in the right use of strength and power. And strength is not used rightly when it serves only to carry a man above his fellows for his own solitary glory. He is the greatest whose strength carries up the most hearts by the attraction of his own. Such was the great soul, late Sri S.N. Ganju sir. Today is a momentous occasion when we are paying tribute to the memory of this great soul. Shri S.N. Ganju was a general secretary and a father figure to Vishwabharati institutions. Having served the institutions for more than 30 years, he left behind a legacy of wonders, created to fulfill dreams of imparting quality education to the girls in Kashmir and children in general in the rest of the country. Right from the inception, he spearheaded the growth of Vishwabharati institutions and was the guiding source, guiding light who brought the schools in various parts of the country to its present pristine glory. This great visionary who insisted on excellence has left behind words etched on every staff and student's mind. He had been one of the pioneers of this annual English debate, and since his sad demise, the debate is dedicated to him. Every year, all the branches of this prestigious institution look forward to organize this momentous occasion. So finally, the stage is all set, the contestants all ready. Let us hear what they have to articulate on today's topic. The topic being texting is hampering our vocabulary. With this, I sign off. Thank you.
What a prominent persona indeed. Our hearts are so full of reverence and respect for late Sri S.N. Ganju sir. Thank you, Madhuri ma'am. The fragrance of flowers spread only in the direction of the wind, but the goodness of a person spreads in all directions. We are honored to have amidst us today Dr. Professor R.K. Shivpuri Sir, Vice President of Vishwabharati Women's Welfare Institution, a seasoned scholar and a mascot of knowledge. Dr. Professor R.K. Shivpuri Sir is bestowed with a distinct vision. As it is said, you are never too old to set another goal. How to dream a new dream. So here we share with you all the message of Dr. Professor R.K. Shivpuri, a versatile personality, a great source of inspiration for all of us for his service above self. Thank you so much, sir, for your message. Dear orators, today is your day. We all are here for you all. I'm sure that you'll put your best foot forward, and no matter you win or not, you know you're capable of great success ahead. Today, you will leave this platform with some lesson for sure, whether you win or lose. From every opportunity, we love to grow stronger and a better version of ourselves, and we spring back stronger. On this note, I would once again like to invite Avantika Mogha and Shreya Das of class 10th to take charge of the proceedings. Over to you both, Avantika and Shreya.
Thank you, Prachi ma'am. Resilience and adaptability is what has made us survive and sustain through ages. Debating has now moved out of auditoriums and stages to an online platform, and we are proud to host today's online debate. Today, 10 teams are here to put forth their opposing notions and viewpoints with logical consistency, factual accuracy, required degree of passion, and vehemence. The motion set before the House today is texting is hampering our vocabulary. But before we begin with the debate, I would like to introduce you all with our learned and seasoned judges. We are privileged to have with us our first judge, Brigadier Uttam Hukku, a a person who has many degrees, a postgraduate diploma in human rights, masters in weapon technology, and masters in financial analysis. Over the years, he has been bestowed upon with many prestigious awards: Vishis Seva Medal, Chief of Army Staff Commendation, Vice Chief of Staff Commendation, and last but not the least, Army Commander Commendation twice. He has commissioned in Corps of Artillery in 1992. Thereafter, joined Army Aviation as combat aviator. He has flown in all terrains, including the Siachen Glacier. Moreover, he has also been a part of UN peacekeeping force in Democratic Republic of Congo. Sir, you deserve all the reverence for your achievements. It is an honor to have you, sir, amongst us.
Now, we have with us our second judge, Ms. Dipali Jain, who is an ELT trainer, editor, and educator with over 20 years of experience. She was HOD English at Bal Bharti Public School Dwarka and GD Goenka Public School Dwarka. At present, she is serving as Cambridge English coach for all levels. She is a freelance editor and an ELT consultant. We are honored to have you with us today, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Now it is time we apprise you all for the rules and regulations of the debate competition. This competition is open for students of classes 9 to 12. Each participating team will comprise of 2 speakers, one for the motion and other against. The first warning bell will be rung after 2.5 minutes, after which the speaker is advised to conclude the debate. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to speak on the topic. Exceeding time limit will be liable for negative marking. Every participant will be asked one question at the completion of his or her speech. The participant will be given 1 minute to answer the question. This 1 minute will be clocked as soon as the question is completed. There will be no cross-questioning.
The speaker must not speak out their school name anytime during the debating session. No speaker is allowed to read out from the script or from screen. The debaters will be judged on the basis of presentation, content, expression, confidence, fluency, and judges' question round. Winners shall be as follows: Best Speaker for the motion, Best Speaker against the motion, and Best Team. The decision of the judges will be final and binding. So let us begin with this inter-school debate competition. Here, I call upon participant with code A1 to present the views on the topic. I request participant A1 to present your views.
GM, my jury members, and everyone present here. Sorry, that's good morning, not GM. I apologize for that. So, I am Richa Singh of class 11, and I'm speaking here for the motion on the subject texting is hampering our vocabulary. Everyone here have this habit of writing in short terms. This is all because of COVID. Spending 2 years sitting at home using social media handles have seriously destroyed our vocabulary. In fact, nowadays, we students are using these languages in our exams also. And guess what? We're scoring less than English score. Use of short terminologies is not going to help aspirants in their written interviews. More than the decline of grammar, it has a huge impact on the lives of teenagers as they have become more distracted than ever. While thinking about this topic, I asked my teacher how is she affected by this. She said whenever she received a message from a student that are incomprehensible, she had to call them back for clarification. These languages are seriously hampering our wording skills. See, you can see it lights, been seeing texting is so loose in its structure. Let us think about a person not thinking about punctuations or capital letters while texting. But do we think about these when we are speaking or writing an exam? Obviously no. So why do we do these things while texting? Once Evelyn said, one forgets word as one forgets name. But one's vocabulary needs constant fertilizing or else it will die. Let us talk about a person with a CV. They have this habit of writing it short terms. Instead of writing I know, they wrote IK. And guess what? They got a punctuation IDK in return as a rejection. These change in languages is demolishing our formal wordings. It is not only affecting a student, an aspirant, a person applying for a job, but also someone's mental health. I have noticed in many people, including my friends, they have this habit of speaking lemo loud. What is lemo? These languages don't help us to remember what the grammar was. I can guarantee that in the coming 10 years, these languages will be all over the world and no one will remember what grammar was meant to be. What grammar was meant to be and again we high school students will be taught about the basics of grammar from the scratch. As a teen, I don't want my future to be like this. There is no harm when you use these languages for texting, but when this language became a habit in our daily life, that's harmful. And at last, my friends, these Gen Zs using slangs and emojis, what now? But a brushed vocabulary will fetch you breads, or be ready to resume your wordings with slangs and catchy GIFs. Thank you.
Thank you, participant with code A1. May I now request Brigadier Uttam Hukku sir to force his question to participant A1.
Hello, Richa, and the participants and all the members of the college and schools. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Richa, my question to you is that, firstly, congratulations, you spoke very well. My question to you is, isn't communication evolving, from the time of erstwhile time when we used to have ink pots to a feather pen, to the pens which we are writing now and communicating on the mobiles, and why do you feel that the texting is going to not evolve at a given time in the future as we look at it?
Sir, there is a lot of harm if we use only texting. First of all, our eyesight will be weak as always. And secondly, as a student, we have learned so much grammar, but while using these text languages, our grammar will be demolished. And again, and every time, whenever we'll be in future applying for a job, we'll be having a habit of using these languages.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and participant with code A1. Now, I would like to call participant with code A2 to present the views on the topic.
Hoping I'm audible and visible. Am I?
Yes, yes, you are. Yes.
Top of the morning, audience. Respected regards to the jury members. This is Gauri Singh, code A2, speaking against the motion for today. So here we go. Picking up the basics. What is texting anyway? It is elementary a form of communication, or to ring more bells, the very adan pradan of information which our Hindi teacher injected in our brains in third grade. What is letter posting? Again, is it not the very adan pradan of information from one to another? What are group discussions? Allow me. It is again the very adan pradan of information we talked about earlier. The truth of the situation over here is, my dear audience, that the traditional media or the traditional way of consumption of media is more accepting of the same words, same vocabulary. But the only concern which is common to my common opponent and my very loving mother is screen time. It's the screen, according to them, which makes texting as a concept the villain of the movie R, which makes them go, oh, you know what? The text you send, in fact, can hamper your language for you to not get admitted in Oxford University, ignoring the fact that the university themselves are sending notification texts so as to submit college application forms. So I think I'll be on my way scolding the university and tell them they're grounded. The topic of texting slangs being a negative aspect of a child's aptitude is absolutely subjective, according to me. The way you talk, the way you text is however you wish to. It's all dependent on the way you interact and the comfort level you share with the receiver in general. So if I walk up to a group of friends and come up like, what up, y'all? It's me. I'm the problem. Don't blame the little phone in my pocket. It's just a group of teenagers interacting. And the reason why people may find it awkward is what we call generation gap, but that's a whole different concept. Moving on, being bilingual and being able to handle two languages in a communicative manner is coming out to be a con. Is a person being able to multitask not a skill anymore? Texting has resulted in the growth and emergence of a new, short, and convenient language that is used by the teenagers of today. We have been taught save time, time is money. Well, we're trying, but you don't seem to be liking it. If it's so much of a concern, we're going to send text with a proper header and a footer with regards and salsa and garnishes, putting more of my oh so valuable time. Well, guess what, mom? That simply means more screen time. So we're back to square one, I guess. Thank you so much. That's all from my side.
Thank you, participant with code A2. May I please request Ms. Dipali ma'am to ask the question from participant code A2.
Good morning, Gauri.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for inviting us to this lovely debate. Gauri, I enjoyed the confidence that you projected and also the validity of many of the arguments that you've made. Okay, my question to you, and I really believe that texting or any medium of communication is essentially the adan pradan.
Right.
So, what I need to understand, because texting is gaining such predominance, especially among children, more so your age group than our age group, how would you explain the impact on, the impact of texting on the language development and the development of vocabulary of elementary learners, children who are smaller, who are also glued to their mobile devices. Do you think it has an adverse effect? And if so, how would you counter that?
They are essentially, I would agree to the fact that they are glued to their devices, but I believe that the elementary uh, consumption of media, the consumption of media by the elementary students are is very different from what we teenagers share in our group chats or whatever. It is essentially, of course, the human behavior changes over time with age, and the children, the consumption which is made, the content which is made for the children to consume is of course a stepping stone, and it is constructed in a manner so that the elementary children consume it in a manner for their professional building, for their personality building. So I don't think that the slangs or such abbreviations are used in the content which the children are consuming. Of course they'll be learning from it, they'll be deriving it, but they have to learn from it. It isn't adapt, it is an environment which they have to adapt after a specific period of time, and with the trend growing, they have to adapt with such. They, it won't necessarily affect them until and unless they're careful with it. And that'll be my answer, I think. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and participant with code A2. Now, I would like to request participant with code B1 to present the views on the topic.
I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
I'll just start. It wasn't long ago that I was at a gathering minding my own business and I got a message from a friend, or to say DM to be correct in these slangs. I got a DM from a friend who the DM read, "Hey, what's up?" This propels me to grace the motion before the house today. That is, texting has hampered our vocabulary. This anecdote that I shared with you has made me realize that how hesitant have we become to have an actual conversation with each other. Texting, which is simply the action of sending text messages, influences our brain to get accustomed to picturing words in short terms in a way that we get our vocabulary hampered, or it affects our vocabulary. Because after all, texting is simply the practice of doing away or even having a conversation without putting in much effort. Because after all, it's HBD who even says happy birthday these days. And according to the Jessup's Education Council, it is said that the letter writing and essay writing and abstract writing, the major writing skills topics in the English language, are the areas where people, or especially students, struggle most at and fail to get decent scores. And the age group among which this problem mostly prevails is 12 to 17 years of age, which are a major strength of texters. It is an ironic change that something so virtually and temporarily flammable can have such a stark effect on a whole language, English. And this problem doesn't even concern English completely. People tend to merge any languages known to each other and they concoct a language of their own. Not to mention, English was a language which came into existence only because of texting. And the aftermath is in front of you. Not only are people least conversed in English vocabulary, but people have a very shabby and inflammable Hindi vocabulary. And might I remind the opposition that adopting and imbibing the slangs and various abbreviations will only rob our generation of the grassroots knowledge of English language. And why do you even learn a subject to apply it in real life? And the only objective of learning English is its application, either in the form of writing or in the form of communicating. And when I talk about texting, this is how we communicate, by using short terms and abbreviations. And also the craziness that is surrounded by the whole idea of imbibing short terms has only introduced catology in people's speech.
To end, I would say that to be or not to be might be Hamlet's dilemma. Ours is to text or not to text. Thank you.
Thank you, participant with code B1. Now I would request Brigadier Uttam Hukku sir to ask the question.
Hello, Rashi. Well spoken. Hearing you speaking, I just got an idea that not everybody is as confident and as fluent the way you were speaking. But should that be the benchmark for a very learned boy, not so confident to lose out while he is putting up across his expressions? So don't you feel that if texting helps not so confident person to put across his views more deliberately and in a better manner, texting would still be helpful?
So, texting could only be helpful if a person is successfully able to speak what he wants to say. If the communication is only confined to the abbreviations and short terms, then I don't think someone has made real progress in communicating his or her thoughts. And I believe if texting is done rightly, it can help. It can help people to improve our vocabulary. That which is the main question here. But since texting is not done the right way, it is only concerned with short terms and abbreviations. People don't put a lot of effort when it comes to communicating. So I think if someone has to make real progress at texting, someone has to put his thoughts through texting. It should be done the right way, which is not the case with our generation, and this is something which we have to work upon.
Okay, thank you, Rashi. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, and participant with code B1. Now, I would like to request participant with code B2 to present the views on the topic.
Am I audible?
Yes.
The advantage of modern means of communication is that they enable you to worry about things in all of the world. With this, a very good morning to one and all present here. Today, I, Hardik Bhaktani, is here to oppose the motion in front of the House that texting has hampered our vocabulary. Language is not static. Change and development are the only constants in life. The changing sounds and phrases of a language are merely reflections of the changes in a particular society. You cannot expect English language to remain the same while the world around us, particularly the way we communicate, is subject to so much variation. Text messaging can be a fun and playful way to communicate. The important thing to remember here is teaching the children how to employ different ways of communication. Writing an essay and writing a text are two very different things, but the children can learn both of them. Now, what's more, since every generation has its own jargon and English grammar is still changing, the influence of chat speak on English grammar should not be exaggerated. It's just a temporary phenomena that will either fade, that's much unlikely, but or develop into a new language used primarily in electronic communication among those who can decode the abbreviations. Learning another language doesn't influence anyone's ability to use proper English as long as the students have learned the grammar rules and therefore know the difference between slang and correct English. A 2006 study by two professors at Coventry University in Britain found that 11-year-olds who used the most textisms were actually better at spelling and writing. And these students seem to switch very easily between text messaging and standard English. Besides, some educators think that whatever can get students to write is a positive influence. And indeed, the internet and texting have made writing return to importance. Modern teenagers spend hours every day tapping out thousands of words. The generations of the 70s and 80s would spend hours on the telephone instead. Studies have shown that texting is just a very short and quick way to communicate, and it has no long-term effects on the vocabulary. And that texting has resulted in the growth and emergence of a new, short, and convenient language that is used by the teenagers of today. Lastly, it's up to that person to get influenced by texting. With this, I would like to rest my case here, and I hope that I have convinced you all that this motion must fall. Thank you.
Thank you, participant with code B2. I would like to call Dipali ma'am to ask the question.
Sorry, there seems to be some glitch in my video part of connection, so I'm unable to turn that on. I hope I'm audible to you, Hardik.
Yes, ma'am.
Well spoken indeed. And I'm going to ask you a question
Thank you,
based
ma'am.
on what you started with. You had said at the very onset that
Correct.
change is the only constant.
Like, I'm not
Uh,
able to hear what you're asking.
am I not audible? Am I audible now, Hardik?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible. You're audible, but
I think there's some glitch at Hardik's because there is a bit of a glitch at my end also, but I can see his screen is frozen.
yeah,
So
no, but still, actually.
let's give him a couple of minutes.
Yeah, yes, ma'am, sure.
Hardik, let us know when you're back.
I think there's some connectivity issue at his end.
Correct. So what do you suggest we do?
Sorry, ma'am. I guess there was a network error from my side. Sorry.
Right. Hardik, am I audible to you now?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I would like to ask you, based on what you had started with, where you said that change is the only constant. My question is this new emerging text lingo that is very, very common and popular with children your age group and younger adults, inclusive of all categories of people, which means across all age groups, people from different walks of life? How do you expect them to decipher this new code that has become such a rage with a certain generation, and how do you propose to make it all inclusive?
Ma'am, I suppose that like nowadays people of all generations, like from the kids of age 8 to 10 till like old age people, are using social media. If not all the platforms, but at least WhatsApp and some basic ones. So I suppose we as people should know whom to like how to text to a particular person. Like if I'm talking about with the teenage groups, with my friends social circle, I can use these abbreviations because I know, because in our daily lives we use these and we know the full forms of these. But when I'm talking to elders or like my grandparents and or parents, I would like to omit these words and try to use complete words and sentences, so that they would be it would be easier for them to understand. So I guess it's our common sense that has to come to play, so that we can create a like better and easier way to communicate, because it's not possible for us to write letters and all emails every time. So WhatsApp and DMs are basically a good way to communicate and to let everyone participate in this. I guess it's our common sense which is needed to tell how to text and what words and phrases to use when we are texting to a particular person.
Thank you, Hardik.
Thank you, ma'am, and participant with code B2. Now, I would like to call participant with code C1 to present the views on the topic.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Tell me when I can start. The craze for shortening words absorbed from texting is also changing how we speak. Amaze for amazing, totes for totally, blades for blatantly, all these are largely teenage usages that are now becoming mainstream. But does this mean it's turning us all into inarticulate species? Good morning, respected judges, worthy opponent, and dear audience. Today I would like to share my views for the motion that texting has made our vocabulary redundant. It is said that language is learned best when it is spoken correctly, and vocabulary is enhanced when we read an uncountable number of texts of the language. However, reality is far from it. Leave alone reading, we have actually cut down on writing and we look for the shortest possible alphabetical structures to convey only the spoken, growing so accustomed to these abbreviations that sensitivity of emotions doesn't even count anymore. The most depressing statistic that researchers cite is the low statistic of daily reading of some form of print, whether magazine, book, etc., just 12% today.
The authors conclude that 82% of young people use texting, which more than likely displaces time they might formerly have given to enhancement of vocabulary. Now, this is first hand knowledge that grammatical rules are not followed when we text someone. We overlook the errors, we twist their spellings, use one word in a completely different context. So much so that it can easily be classified as a disrespect to language. Expecting these young adults who have a different conception of what being cool is to have an in depth knowledge of language and vocabulary is an exaggeration to say the least. As Crystal suggests, these mistakes are not a result of texting, they are evidences of carelessness or lack of thought rather than a systematic inability to spell and punctuate. It is an interesting fact that young people sometimes don't even see their screens but type. In the history of nearly 22 years, while this communication boom has been praised for its educational benefits, a negative side effect is beginning to take hold. Cyber slang is suspected of damaging students' writing acumen. To conclude, I'd say that English is a beautiful tongue with a rich literary history and does not deserve to be overshadowed by phrases like OOTD and ROFL. Let's manage the risks of consequences before we take away the very essence of linguistic beauty. Thank you.
Thank you, participant with code C1. I would now like to request Brigadier Uttam Hukku sir to forward his question to participant C1.
Hello, Pihu. Well spoken.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question for you. You see, in the erstwhiles, as our Hindu civilization goes, we used to speak in Sanskrit, was the language. Sanskrit is supposed to be the mother language for every language in the world. Then there has been transformation from Sanskrit, and I can challenge today that none of us, even in the Hindi belt, can speak Hindi in the real terms. We have a nice mix of languages, and it is only because of the evolution which is taking place, and it will keep evolving. Don't you feel then, therefore, it is a good time that we start having a good mix of texting and using proper vocabulary and using the proper full languages to take it forward?
Sir, I completely agree with you that Sanskrit was once the most common language and then it evolved into Hindi. But then the major problem here that we are facing is not the evolution of language. I mean, the words that we started using in use while texting has taken away from the essence of the language. It is taking away from the sensitivity of emotions. You know, Sanskrit evolved into Hindi, but then in Hindi also we were able to convey our emotions. You know, we were not taking away from the essence of the language. We were able to express our feelings. But then in texting, that one thing is gone. And that is the major problem that we're facing here.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. And participant with code C1. Now I would like to request participant with code C2 to present the views on the topic.
Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes.
Language evolves and we cannot stop it from evolving. What is texting basically? Texting is a way of effective communication. We all are debating here. We all are saying words like thank you. In texting, we use TY. Are we saying TY here? No. It depends on the person. Is he or her being influenced by the specific language or not? Studies have also shown that students have gotten better consciousness of which language to use where. And studies by the Purdue University has shown that better texters were better readers. Better texters had better marks in grammar, vocabulary, and fluency. So why are we blaming texting over our vocabulary which is being hampered? Texting and letter writing is the same thing. Texting is just happening on the screen instead of paper. There are many ways of letters. Letters are formal, letters are informal. Does that mean when we write a formal letter, we include our informal stuff that we write to our friends? No. A person knows which language to use where. Texting, coming to the positive effects of texting, it has improved our mental functions. The same mental function which is required when a person is learning a specific language. Why? After all, we are just writing. The children who are texting are just writing. In a more effective way, and uh, they're getting new acceptance to the new words which are they learning. Words like AFK, words like TY, slangs were slangs. These slangs were there when texting and phones weren't even there. So excuse me, if we're blaming these screens, these messages which we used while coming to these competitions, that is wrong. Weren't slangs used before? And have we forgotten? It doesn't mean that we forget the simple basic grammar rules and the normal syntax. Studies and surveys have shown that children who texted more knew better, had better consciousness of which language to use where. After all, texting is just a more convenient method, and we cannot stop language from evolving. We have evolved from the Shakespearean era. We have evolved from the era in which we use Sanskrit. So, what is wrong with evolving now? We cannot blame it on texting. Thank you.
Thank you, participant with code C2. I would now request Ms. Dipali ma'am to ask a question.
May I ask you how you pronounce your name? Is it Renel?
Yeah, it's Renel.
Okay. Renel, well done. And I quite enjoyed listening to you, especially the way you explained your points and tried to put them across. I like the patience with which you did that. Okay. My question to you is, texting is the art of writing in brief, right? As opposed to any other form of writing. So once you get used to this writing in brief, which is basically the cornerstone of texting, and where you are also bound by a limited character count in most situations, it becomes quite a daunting challenge, to write at length. When you have to write something formal or write something which is of a much longer, nature in terms of its word limit. How would you defend this argument that texting does not really, play with that?
I feel that texting is not really related to this, because people have actually shown in researches and surveys that they got better awareness and consciousness of using where using a formal language and when to use an informal language. It's not that a person will forget the simple rules, like adding regards after a long paragraph. They won't forget that. And texting in an informal way is with friends. And when I came to this competition, it's not that I texted every person with an informal way. Of course, during texting also we do use formal messages. We always write a format, like in emails, letter writing, we use a format. And when the person should know which type of language to use where. It's just about informal and formal, and we cannot really blame texting, because sometimes we have to answer in brief, sometimes we have to answer in long, and the person should know when to do that. And I don't think we can really blame texting for that, because answering in brief is also an art. It gives us a better way to respond, and it helps us responding in a more effective way. And one more thing, these 2 years of pandemic, we texted a lot, but that doesn't mean when we go to these platforms we forget how to answer in long, or how to answer in proper grammar and all.
Thank you, Renel.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and participant with code C2. Now, I would like to call participant with code D1 to present the views on the topic.
Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Without a doubt, in today's world, texting is an inseparable part of daily communication. If you're one of the 4.4 billion people in the world who send or receive texts on a daily, if not weekly basis, you've probably come across, quote, generational text, that are texts with abbreviated messages, no capital letters, and spelling mistakes. Might sound familiar to those of you who probably sent a classic TY or TTYL to a friend who wished you good luck before this very debate. But after all, these are just texts to a friend, and they'll know what you mean, right? But what about the situation where the circumstances call for more precise use of words? Will you be able to write in the same manner in an essay for school, perhaps your college application or job resume, or for when you present your thesis for the groundbreaking invention of the 21st century? Good morning, respected adjudicators and members of the opposing team. Today, I, participant D1, Vabhavi, am here in proposition of the motion that texting hampers with one's vocabulary, and stand strongly alongside my assertion that the comfort that we've established in texting is slowly but certainly weathering away our lexical heritage and standard grammar. Firstly, in contradiction to the opposition's assertion, I'd like to throw light on a study conducted by Professor Joan Lee, which asked university students about their reading habits, including text messaging. This ended up revealing that students more accustomed to reading and writing were more accepting and comprehensive of the words given to them. On the other hand, students more used to texting as a matter of course could not interpret the words given to them. I believe that this is enough to firmly establish the fact that this assumption of texting encouraging linguistic diversity is a mere myth. And the people who followed through more words did so because texting stops you from discovering linguistic diversity that is found in reading traditional print. Henceforth, it was found that the people who were more accustomed to reading and writing as a matter of course could interpret the meaning of words even if they didn't recognize it. Moreover, texting means that you're losing your ability to have face-to-face communications that are vital in the workplace and especially in personal relationships. Texting in general is meant to be concise and to the point, which means that it is not adequate in situations where you're supposed to put forward your message that are emotionally charged, which means that you can't put forward your worries or doubts as clearly in text messaging as you'd be able to from face-to-face communication. In conclusion, it is clear that texting hampers one's vocabulary, and this is made evident by the fact that the relaxed format in texts impact how we communicate with each other and promote using improper grammar. Additionally, while some may argue that a technological transition as such is important in increasing efficiency in communication, it also sacrifices grammar. With this, I'd like to thank you all for your time and attention, and with all due respect, I hereby rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you so much for putting your views forward with participant with code D1. Now I would like to request Brigadier Uttam Hukku sir to ask his question.
Hello, Neha. Very well spoken. I'm sure I'm not the first person to compliment you on your the way you speak, your voice texture. You actually sounded like a professional TV newsreader. So my compliments to the way you spoke. Beautifully spoken. I have a question for you, Neha. You see, in the army, we are taught when we write something, the ABC of writing, that is accuracy, brevity, and clarity. Now, while you may get accuracy and clarity with the proper vocabulary you use, brevity also constitutes a very important aspect of writing. And if you feel that if texting could achieve it, don't you think that it can only add on to you or possibly hone your skills of writing?
Sir, I believe that texting, it makes your message very concise and almost summarized. And in most situations, we require our message to be perfectly perceivable and understandable by the audience, which means that we have to be very clear with what we mean and our message. And it can only be clear, and it can only be achievable with face-to-face communication. And that is my assertion for today. With face-to-face communication, you are presenting your message with emotional charge and face expressions, voice modulation, etc. And this is not possible in texting form of communication. And I believe that, as wonderfully you stated, the ABC of communication, this is made more clear and accurate with head-on communication rather than texting, because we are able to get our point across much better, and communication is made far more efficient. than texting.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, and participant with code D1. Now, I would like to call participant with code D2 to present the views on the topic.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
How many of you can recall the worrisome COVID time that lasted till the previous year? Wasn't texting the best way out when one couldn't speak due to energy drain and lack of physical interaction? It's a big yes, I believe. Good morning to one and all present here. I hereby stand strongly against the motion that texting is hampering our vocabulary. How we can say that texting is hampering our vocabulary when we have facilities like autocorrect and dictionary which are only and only enhancing our vocabulary rather than deteriorating it. Texting is regarded as a unique tool to all of us. It is anchored in mobile phones and has the ability to be with you all the time, which gives us an enormous flexibility on precision. Some of its institutional or official applications include customer support, sales conversation, book meetings, online reviews, and many more. Communication has been made exponentially easier and effective with the introduction and ubiquitous use of texting and SMS messages. For example, while texting with the feature of auto suggestions, kids do learn new vocabulary that comes handy and is practical, which helps in retaining word repertoire and vocabulary and saves time. Texting messages can be more personal than email. They aren't as common as email messages. It is also quoted by Turkle and other experts that texting helps improve interpersonal relationships, help people deal with traumatic events, and bridge intergenerational gaps. While texting, it is also easier to address people in a more friendly manner. Think about adding emoji, images, or other media. Each element adds interest to your messages, making it more face-to-face and human rather than an average email. Texting also eases communication with personal doctors, advances research as an easy and accurate way of gathering the patient's information in scientific manner. I believe that the said proposition stating that texting hampers our vocabulary is a myth, and I strongly rest my case with this conclusion that texting in fact does not hamper our vocabulary. Thank you very much.
Thank you, participant with code D2. I would now like to call Ms. Dipali Jain, ma'am, to answer her to ask her question.
Hello, Taylor. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, ma'am.
All right, well spoken. I enjoyed listening to your views. You talked about autocorrect, and it is, yes, quite a popular feature that is often used when we are using the computer or a mobile device or any electronic device, basically. Don't you think autocorrect makes us far more dependent than we ought to be on technology and impedes our actual learning of the language and the development of the language that we are expected to learn? I also want to know that, when autocorrect suggests new words, very often they may not be applicable to the context, and they can be often misleading. And even if you do opt to use one of the new words that autocorrect springs on you, you may only remember it and retain it for the short term. So, how would you contend to this? Contend with this dilemma?
Ma'am, I believe that autocorrect is something which is very handy. Like whenever we are using our mobile phones or texting something, or like simply talking with our friends or family on WhatsApp. So whenever we have the shortage of words and something, it helps us suggest new words. And while this, we can improve our messages as well. Like for example, if we are talking to our teacher and we are like just missing some word, like for teacher, we obviously will talk formally, but there if we are missing any word due to auto corrections or auto suggestions, we do get new words which are able to improvise our message. And while this like it corrects many of our spelling errors as well, and which the teacher also thinks that that maybe a good impression on the teacher when we are not doing much spelling mistakes and something like that. So it leaves actually a good impression on the teacher as well. So auto suggestions are completely, they are helpful to us and it's very handy. And as you said that it is misleading us, I don't think that it is misleading us. Actually, instead of misleading, it is enhancing our vocabulary, giving us more suggestions on words and about the context on which, like for example, if we are writing any letter, so accordingly we will search for words there. So yeah.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and participant with code D2. Now, I would like to request participant with code E1 to present the views on the topic.
Good morning, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. I'll just start. LOL, JK, NP, K, HBD. All of these words sound familiar, don't they? While I was listing them out, your mind must have comprehended their meanings automatically, which is strange when considering the fact that most of these words are not actually a part of the Oxford English Dictionary. With advancements in technology, the use of texting has increased to communicate quickly, full of contractions to convey a simple message. Good morning to one and all present here. I, Jasmeera, will be speaking for the motion. Texting is hampering our vocabulary. Our world has seen lots of changes, one of them being the use of texting. We have come up with various abbreviations like THX for thanks or the number 4 for for. One might argue that doing this saves time, but if the recipient has to take 10 minutes trying to decipher the message, those precious minutes are being wasted. And isn't the whole point of using texting lingo saving time? The vocabulary levels of a person are the same words that are unique to texting. So a person will use the same words over and over again. Thus, fewer words are being added to our vocabulary and more words are going extinct. Texting in short terms accustoms our brain to picturing words similarly, thus hindering our vocabulary. Joan Lee, a linguistics and data scientist, stated that texting has a negative impact on people's linguistic ability to interpret and accept words. So students who text more often have a difficult time understanding and accepting the new and unusual words they encounter, thus negatively impacting the proper use of grammar and punctuation. Learning the art of building sentences takes years of practice. Texting makes people skip these rules with great ease. Let's talk about autocorrect. Although it is a great feature, it will not help you to polish your writing skills or to educate yourself properly. Sure, anything you type will be amended by the program. But what if you actually have to leave a note to someone with a pen and paper? What then? English is a beautiful language with a rich literary history. As my co-opponent said, it does not deserve to be overshadowed by phrases like amaze for amazing or totes for totally. The craze for shortening words absorbed from texting is changing how we speak. It depletes the standard of English. People who are using improper grammar while texting will never be able to appreciate the true value of the language. It is thus essential for individuals to consider the rules of normal writing while texting so that we can protect our heritage. Thank you.
Thank you, participant with code E1. May I please request Brigadier Uttamuku sir to put forth his question.
Hello, Jasmeera. Am I audible?
Hello, sir. Yes, sir.
Well spoken, Jasmeera. Very well spoken. I've got a small question for you. You see, humankind has been in existence for how many years we don't know. Possibly, language seems to have got evolved in the last 5,000 years. So it seems that there were means of communication, and people used to communicate without the language. People then started communicating with the language, and possibly the terms which you used in the initial part of your debate, K and whatever short abbreviations. I understand K is now okay because I see my son texting that. Don't you think that there is a possibility of coexistence of these small letters along with the normal vocabulary? And by the way, I must tell you this, that in the Oxford Dictionary, even samosa is a word. Samosa is part of the Oxford Dictionary. So you see, Oxford Dictionary is also evolving and adding on to its words. What do you think about a coexistence of such small abbreviations along with vocabulary?
So thank you for your question. Language essentially is used for communication. And I also am guilty of using the words like LOL or K in daily life. But when I communicate using these words with my grandparents, for example, they will not be able to understand those words. So what I mean to say is that texting is depleting the standard of English. If I say okay in real life, they will be able to understand that. But if I type K or if I say K in real life, they won't be able to understand that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, and participant with code E1. Now, I would like to request participant with code E2 to present the views on the topic.
May I just get a second, please?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. Good morning. Am I visible and audible?
Yes, you are. Yeah. Carry on.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Parth Goel, and today I am going to speak against the motion texting is hampering our vocabulary. My worthy opponents argue that the advent of abbreviations and autocorrect make a person complicit when it comes to using the right spellings. However, if we widen our scope of thinking, we can see how texting can be used as a tool to improve vocabulary instead. But first, a small example. In economics, statistics, if not used in the correct manner, can be used to show misleading conclusions. But can we blame statistics for that? Technology is just a tool, and it is we who are capable proponents to decide upon its correct usage. Mobile phones and chatting services are now present in every nook and corner of a rurally dominant country. In villages, access to libraries and material for learning English is relatively scarce. Can then the phones in the hands of these villagers not be used as a digital dictionary? Any mistake that they make while texting will be automatically corrected, making them understand the proper usage of sentence structures and proper spellings. Just the previous week, I was thinking about how often I misspell just a simple word like calendar. But seeing it corrected again and again through autocorrect, I now have the habit to use the right spelling of the word. Can we even imagine our life without texting? Obviously, it is up to parents to exercise caution when it comes to making texting available for their kids. Access to chatting services should not be provided at a raw or a tender age where the child gets confused between real spellings and abbreviations. They should be given phones only once they are past that age where they acquire that minimum knowledge of vocabulary and proper grammar. In fact, when they see their spellings being corrected again and again, it would inculcate the habit of using the right spellings within them. So, to conclude my point, texting is by no means an evil. If used in the correct manner, it is a revolution that unites people across demographics and facilitates faster and more efficient communication across domains of profession, business, and corporates. Progress is not possible without change, and those who cannot change themselves cannot change anything. Thank you.
Thank you, participant E2. I would now request Ms. Dipali Jain ma'am to ask the question.
Hello, Parth. Well spoken, and I really enjoyed the timbre of your voice. Very pleasing and soothing to the ears, and also some wonderful arguments that you had made. My question to you is, how would you counter the argument that texting leads to a simplistic vocabulary, not just a simpler one, but a simplistic one where you get stuck with the simplest form of words that one would tend to use? So, for example, you want to express that something is quite tasty or delicious. The first thing that you would probably do is use an emoticon or an emoji, or else use the briefest form of expression instead of using better and I wouldn't say bigger, but definitely more appropriate words like scrumptious or appetizing or succulent. How would you counter this argument?
Thank you for your question, ma'am. What I believe is that it is up to the people who use texting to realize the true meaning and the true usage of that of the emoticons. If they use it in every sort of conversation, formal as well as informal, they would not be able to get their message across that efficiently. I don't feel there is anything wrong in using an emoji for specifying that something is tasty in an informal conversation. But you, as a person, as a texter, have to realize how much emphasis do you want to place on your message, and which words do you want to choose for that. So I think it's up to you to understand the nature of the occasion and the formality of the occasion, and then use relevant words or emoticons.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and participant with code E2. Now, I would like to request participant with code F1 to present the views on the topic.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Good morning, everyone present here. I am here to represent my opinion on the topic that texting hampers our vocabulary. Nowadays, everyone chooses texting over talking to each other on call and writing things because texting looks like an easy task. But as we all know that texting hampers our vocabulary so much that we all cannot realize at that time. Texting has a huge impact on the lives of the teenagers as they have become more distracted than ever. Using informal vocabulary and abbreviations leads to miscommunication among people as texting does not always convey emotion and sentiments exactly. Due to mixing of words from many languages, people do not use just Hindi and English or any other language for that matter. As a result, the vocabulary of the classical languages and the other languages is getting diluted. For example, the evolution of English, a mix of Hindi and English, is dominating conversations between the youngsters. Due to increased usage of abbreviations, many words in different languages have lost their real essence and meaning. Also, due to this day by day increase in culture of texting, the people belonging to older generations are finding themselves ill-equipped in terms of language and vocabulary. Majority of people of older age find it difficult to comprehend what is being conveyed through text. Our language and vocabulary is reflective of our identity. My friends who differ from me argue that mixing of languages actually equals the scope of the language and it leads to its growth. However, my question is, do we really need that? Can we not appreciate different language for that matter really and the culture that they represent? My fellow debaters have argued that language is not static and is ever evolving. But in my opinion, that sort of evolution is not desirable if it is leading to polluting the essence of language, alienating people and resulting in miscommunication rather than a healthy communication. I really hope that languages, be it Hindi, English, or any other language, should be able to retain its purity and dignity. They shouldn't be doomed in the hands of texting, resulting in the end of discipline and the literature we dearly cherish and love. Thank you.
Thank you, participant F1. And now I would like to request Brigadier Uttamukku sir.
Hello, Pratna. How are you?
Good morning, sir.
Morning. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, well spoken. Just a piece of one advice before I ask a question. See, it is very important to have, when you communicate with someone, to have an eye contact. While you were speaking so well, I was missing your expression on the screen. But good subject, well covered. I got one question with you to ask. You spoke that texting is also making an impact on the way we converse with each other.
Yes.
Now, don't you think that when your teacher comes in your class, you call her good morning, ma'am? You do not say GM, ma'am, because
Yes.
that's the way you communicate. But possibly when you write GM, ma'am. So therefore, till the time your conversation, your texting is not impacting your conversation, you still say okay. You don't say K. Don't you think there are two different platforms? One is speaking, the other is communicating as far as texting is concerned.
First of all, I would like to tell you why I am not be able to keep eye contact with you. Sorry, sir, for that. Actually, there are so many lights are placed on my head, so my Mac has my mic screen got a reflect on that, and even I won't be able to wear my glasses too. That's why I have to keep so much close to it. And your question is. I want to say that texting has two different ways to communicate with it. Texting can help us in so many types that texting can give the way you said that we can ask GM ma'am or good morning ma'am. It can help us to relate or something that, but uh, in the manner that we can. But so I don't think so that the manner we say that good morning ma'am or GM ma'am, uh, I don't think so, sir, that it is good or
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, and participant with code F1. Now, I would like to request participant with code F2 to present the views on the topic.
Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So, first of all, good morning, good afternoon, sorry, good afternoon, the judges and my fellow debaters. I'm Prarthana, and I would like to present my views on the topic of how texting does not hamper our vocabulary. So, I begin now. As any linguist would know, the language is not a static thing. Change and development is the one constant in life, and the changing sounds and phrases of a language are merely reflections of the changes in a particular society. We cannot expect the English language to remain the same while the world around us, and particularly the way we communicate with others, is subject to such variations. In today's society, texting has been one of the main sources of communication for most people. People no longer just pick up the phone and call someone, but rather click a few letters, quickly send the direct messages they want to. And easy texting is an easy method of communication between two or more people, as we know in a group chat, and it can be picked up anywhere and left off whenever it is convenient for the user. There is no issues as to why, there is no wonder as to why there is such an explosion of popularity for texting. Texting nowadays is a much more common way of communication between teenagers as well. And it has been noted that it is more prevalent in the ages of people between the ages of 18 to 25. It has been a very integral part of an adolescent's life since the phones became ubiquitous in the early 2000s. One of research says that elementary school students who text are better spellers than that of their peers who do not. I would personally agree on that. Texting has been able to improve communication by allowing people to communicate on their own time, being able to create group chats, being able to send emojis, being able to send pictures. It entails a shorthand form of communication. For an example, instead of just saying talk to you later, people often just now say TTYL. Emojis are a better way of uh, uh, they're a better way of expressing your emotions and giving life to texting. Uh, there are normally people use normal English while texting as well, whereas some mix the English with another language. This can help us bridge the gap between these two languages. With this, I would like to conclude that texting is one of the good ways of learning. Texting is a very special tool to share information and to exchange hobbies. And I would say that with the right set of people around you, you'll be able to understand and be involved in literature more than ever before. Thank you.
Thank you, participant F2. I would like Dipali ma'am to ask her question.
Hello, Pratna. Well spoken. Am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Pratna, I have a very simple question for you. How would you counter the argument that texting leads to poor spellers?
That texting leads to poor spellers. Thank you, ma'am, for the question. I would say this is a really good question. So first of all, the thing about texting is it doesn't necessarily lead to poor spellers. Because in my opinion, texting is more of a way of a normal communication between two people or more. And texting, say for an example, if a person who reads a lot, but and texts a lot as well, but they are pretty good spellers because they read and they hear and they stuff like that. It's easier, but poor spellers. Actually, poor spellers wouldn't exactly. Poor spellers, the autocorrect makes it correct, I guess, that way, if you think about it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and participant with code F2. Now, I would like to call participant with code G1 to present the views on the topic.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
We text are significant words. The codes we send arrive with a broken cord. I try to picture your hands, their image is blurred. Nothing my thumbs press will ever be heard. Good afternoon, everyone. Today I am here to support the motion on the topic texting is hampering our vocabulary. Texting, being quick and convenient, is one of the most popular means of communication in modern times. But don't you think? Texting basically means the usage of informal writing, avoiding capitals and punctuations, and using emotions in the sentence. Nowadays, users sacrifice the correct use of language for speed, for which they have developed weird abbreviations like UR for your, LOL for laugh out loud, etc. The education faculty is the one which is more worried about this trend. Shobha Nair, who is the principal of SIA Mumbai, has said that students don't even realize when to switch between the normal rules of grammar and cyber slangs. The impact of using abbreviation and slangs is that after prolonged use, spelling mistakes become unintentional. Suppose you have to add 24,000, 16,000, and 10,000. For those looking to use the calculator, the answer is 50,000. This shows our dependence on calculator as a technology. And similarly, we have become unintentional victims of texting and we are not able to break the chain. And this is hampering our vocabulary as well. A study has revealed that cell phone text based abbreviated communication teens use are showing up more in formal writing. Texting has also raised various other concerns. It has created an autocorrect computer generation. It is unable to spell common words such as necessary and separate. Learning the laws of grammar takes years of practice, but online messaging is letting students flout the laws of grammar with impunity. The students are not able to express their thoughts. They are not able to form complete sentences with a beginning, middle, and end. Our teacher quoted that sometimes I have to call back my student for clarifications on the messages I receive. Doesn't it seem annoying that teachers have to take time out of their hectic schedule to deal with such matters? The disadvantage of adopting lingos and slangs is that it can lead to communication barriers. It could be a situation in the future that two people of different geographical regions communicating with each other in English might not be able to understand each other. I hope everybody knows the full form of BFF. But do you know the full form of IIGNFOU? I bet no one. It stands for It is not good for our future. This abbreviation proves my point that how abbreviations are destroying our vocabulary and are hurting the true essence of communication, that is to express our thoughts freely. At last, I would like to urge everyone to stop using texting as a medium of communication, as it is only a tool to destroy our vocabulary. And I personally feel that texting is a brilliant way to miscommunicate what you feel and misinterpret what others feel. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you, participant G2. May I request Brigadier Uttam Hukku sir to ask his question.
Hello, Mohammed. Very well spoken. You seem to
Thank
have
you,
been
sir.
quite prepared and you were very convinced in what you were talking. So,
Thank you,
lot
sir.
of good conviction and well spoken. I have got a question to ask you, Mohammed. Why do you
Yes,
feel
sir.
that if you feel that texting is spoiling language, it is spoiling vocabulary, it is spoiling the next generation? Why is it that it is becoming a rage? Why is the new generation like you and your friends giving it so much of importance? What could be the
Yes,
reason?
sir. Yes, sir. First of all, thank you, sir, for providing me the opportunity to answer your question. And sir, like we like junk food. And junk food we know is harmful for our health, but we still get attracted towards it. Similarly, we know that texting hurts our vocabulary, it is destroying our mind. And if we see some small things, our mind pictures it that way. And we try to form short forms of that word, even we know the full spellings. But still, the teenagers who are attracted towards new things are getting attracted toward texting because they feel that we just have to send one or two words. And this is also the case that people are becoming introverts. They are not able to communicate in class, but they are able to write long sentences in texting because they feel that instead of being face to face with the person, they could communicate with them through texting. That's the reason they are getting more attracted towards it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, and participant with code G1. Now, I would like to request participant with code G2 to present the views on the topic.
A very good morning to all the judges and my worthy opponents. Today, I, Ayush Seal, Code G2, am here in front of you all to present my views on the topic that does texting really hamper our vocabulary, and I am going to speak against the motion. So first of all, I would like to argue on the basis of mainly 2 points. The first one being that does texting really negatively impact our vocabulary, and the second one, the other uses of texting other than just gossiping with your friends. So let me start with answering the main question, which is that does texting really hamper our vocabulary? Well, many people may agree on that part, but I don't think I believe the same. According to me, texting is a very efficient and quick way to contact and communicate with others online via text. I am pretty sure most of the people here are aware of the term English. It is a new kind of language that has emerged in the world of text, in the field of texting, and it is a fusion of two languages, Hindi and English. Texting in English makes it a lot easier for people to communicate with each other because it is a combination of two languages, so it is a lot more easier to understand. Now, when it comes to spellings, a research has shown that children who text are better spellers than the children who do not. It also has been observed that people who hesitate in talking to other people on face to face feel comfortable while talking to them on text. This shows how texting can instill self confidence in people. Now, with the advancement of technology, texting has also evolved a lot. Now, texting was previously used for just casual gossips between friends. Now, texting is used for solving queries, and there are many online platforms like Amazon, Myntra, GPay, etc., where there is an option to text or contact their customer care so that they can help us in our query. Now, if I had the time to call them and wait in their waiting line for them to pick my call, I would have simply gone to the market and purchased that product. This shows how texting can save a lot of time as well. Texting is also quite flexible in nature. The reason why I'm using the word flexible is because while texting, we don't really pay attention to the vocabulary, grammar, or punctuations. This shows that texting is quite flexible in nature, as I said earlier. Now, I would like to conclude my statement by I would like each one of you to ask yourself a question that does texting really hamper our vocabulary? I hope that after listening to my viewpoints, your answer was a no. Thank you so much for being a patient audience. Thank you.
Thank you, participant with code G2. Now, I would like Dipali ma'am to ask her question.
Hello, Ayush. Well spoken. Ayush, am I audible to you?
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, you are audible.
All right. Ayush, you talked about using texting for resolving queries.
Yes.
And for increasingly using it on official platforms as well. How does this constant and emerging practice of texting impact formal communication?
Ma'am, as we have seen, there are many online platforms. For example, I have purchased a product from Amazon and I am having a query or doubt in that product or related to my order. I can simply text, chat, or contact their customer care because I don't have that much time to call them, wait for them in their waiting line. Now, there are many people, because with the advancement of technology, this online purchasing and online shopping is also emerging a lot. So this will also support texting a lot, and that is how texting will emerge in the future. So that will be my answer.
Thank you, Ayush.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and participant with code G2. Now, I would like to request participant with code H1 to present the views on the topic.
I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
We live in a contradictory world where there's something good in everything bad and something bad in everything good. Good morning to the judges, guests, and my fellow mates. We have now entered an era where technology is growing at a faster rate and the older ways are dying down. Conversations are on text, and contact of humans is inhibited by phone screens. As we all know, that texting and chatting has now taken to human communication at large ever since. But I, Code H1, strongly believe that texting is hampering our vocabulary in our day-to-day life. On an average, nearly 2.27 trillion texts are sent each year. With each one, it inhibits our vocabulary and our lexicon and relative lingual skills. Texting is done via emoticons and famous abbreviations like LOL, ROFL, and etc. But this often leads to miscommunication as well, as it fails to deliver the same emotions, the same feelings we are feeling at that time, and the context in which the text is sent. According to a research conducted at the University of Calgary, Canada, it was found that vocabulary development is largely affected by text frequency or word frequency. An average texter uses their similar word combinations that they're comfortable with again and again in their daily lives. And an average texter's brain simply denies the intake of new words very quickly and easily. On the other hand, for the people who bend towards traditional print media like books and magazines, they have a wider exposure to newer words in their lives, and their brain acts creatively in incorporating them into their vocabulary. Texting, in all cases, harms our writing and butchers our grammar. The overuse of words like gonna, wanna, etc. have found an unerasable path on our tongues. Texting is slowly tying us in its chains and filling up the room for vocabulary development, which helps us in personality development and helps us in conversating, making better communications, and it gives us an upper hand in the English language as well. At the very end, I would just like to say that I do not deny that texting is not an easy teenage communication practice, but I do say that we adopt habits such as reading and playing crosswords, etc., so that we do not only harm our own selves personally, but harm the English language forever. Thank you.
Thank you, participant H1. Now I would request for the question.
Hello, Parth. I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Very well spoken, Parth. You are very clear in your mind what you're talking, and very nicely brought out. Expressive, your expression is very good. But Parth, tell me one thing. Do you text?
Yes, sir.
You text. Why do you text?
So it's easy, it's fast.
Good.
Like I mentioned.
So texting is not so bad.
Yes.
What you need basically is a good mix of texting, and you've been stressing on a point that texting will stop people of your generation stop thinking. Do you really think so? Because see, texting is a means of communication. It's a shorter and abridged and abbreviated means of communication. But you still feel that texting would make any impact on the way we think and we conceptualize things?
Sir, personally, I think yes, because when we text or whenever we get used to anything, we tend to repeat that. It becomes a habit. But if we tend to look towards books, they're creative. It gives our mind a walk, for example. It gives us a time to think. It gives us things to imagine. So, sir, I think that bending towards traditional print media gives us definitely an advantage in the thinking prospect. But texting, sir, I would say that everything is already very visual. When we text, we can send photos, we can send videos. So I think yes, it does.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, and participant with code H1. Now, I would like to request participant with code H2 to present the views on the topic.
Hello everyone, am I audible and visible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Okay. So texting is not the death of writing. It is now a fingered speech. We can now write the way we talk. A very good afternoon to respected judges, teachers, and my fellow debaters. Today I, code H2, I'm going to speak against the motion on the topic texting is hampering our vocabulary. Now, smartphones are increasingly becoming an ordinary part of our daily lives, and in terms of language teaching, these devices have opened windows of opportunities and are innovatively shaping the way the instructors teach and the students learn. The past decade has seen a rapid development in using mobile phones in vocabulary teaching, and the focus has been on these devices, like how they teach vocabulary to the learners. And one of the major features of the mobile phones was SMS, which was initially very much used in studies, which we call as the short message services. Now, several experimental studies have been done to investigate the effect of SMS-based vocabulary teaching as compared to a different, more traditional and conventional methods. Now, two researchers, Chinese one to be more particular, Zhang and Lu, they in their study, they wanted to investigate the effect of SMS as compared to more printed materials. And the study of their the result of their study, as it showed that the SMS group, it outperformed the control group who used printed materials. Now, another example as I would take was Sarah and Safer. They also used MMS, that is multimedia messaging services, and their study, there was an experimental group which was taught vocabulary via SMS and MMS, and there was a control group which was taught the same vocabulary in the classroom. The result in their study was that the experimental group significantly outperformed the control group. So the results are clear. Mobile phones are one of the most widely used innovations. And rather than seeing mobile phones or texting disruptors, teachers or instructors who are well equipped with this 21st century teaching skills, they are seeking ways to fully exploit mobile phones in their teaching practices, both outside and inside the classroom. Texting, it may seem like a secret language to those who don't, but it's not. The purpose of these abbreviated word, jumbled words, is not to create new words, but to communicate more efficiently with the already existing words. So I would like to conclude my case by saying, let's be real. Each one of us here text. Even a partner who speaks for the motion texts. And texting does not hamper our vocabulary. It is not even related to our vocabulary. Hampering or hindering it is a far cry. And if you're so keen to strengthen our vocabulary, then we should rather inculcate ourselves in reading dictionaries, books, learn new words, use those words in our conversations. Texting does nothing, but it makes our communication with our people more strong, efficient, and effective. And at last, I would like you to remember that it is normal and healthy for a language to change over the period of time. And if it were not, then we would still be communicating in Old English. Thank you.
Thank you, participant H2. Now I would request the Pali ma'am to ask a question.
Hello, Anjali. How are you doing?
Fine, ma'am.
Enjoyed listening to you. Anjali, you talked about using the short message service or the SMS, which by the very nature of its nomenclature restricts expression. So don't you think texting often, and I mean, in fact, almost all the time, compromises the accuracy of the message, especially with lack of correct punctuation and the use of these new acronyms which may not be understood by all? There's a huge possibility that the message is misunderstood or misinterpreted. What do you have to say?
Ma'am, I completely. It's not like I don't agree with you. It's a there would be cases where there would be some misunderstanding, but I would like to recall it that we are living in an era of technology, and we want everything faster. We don't want to spend time writing paragraphs and just to make someone using abbreviations can make someone explain the things that we want to express it better. And right now all of us, even apart from us, we are so much equipped with texting is nothing new. We are so much equipped with that there is a very little possibility of misunderstanding. There are cases, but in most instances we clearly communicate faster, efficiently, and effectively. So I don't think that these SMS they they have such a huge impact on hindering what we are trying to express to the person in front of us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and participant with code H2. Now, I would like to request participant with code I1 to present the views on the topic.
A new word is like a fresh seed sown in the garden of discussions. Respected jury, teachers, and my worthy opponents, a blissful morning to all. This is Ayushi, code I1, and today I would like to take this opportunity to present my views in favor of the topic, texting is hampering our vocabulary. Well, you can't say it, but it's true. Texting is a brilliant way to miscommunicate how you feel and misinterpret what other people mean. Haven't you noticed today people no longer want to pick up their phone calls, but rather they'll just click on a few letters and quickly send a direct message. Texting has become an integral part of our lives since phones came to existence. However, it has made a very huge impact on the way we understand grammar and interpret language. Wouldn't you agree that texting entails a lot of shorthand informations, and oftentimes it is filled with one-line responses? Texting prohibits to build deeper bond of connection between people. Another issue with texting is how difficult it is to interpret language. In other forms of communication, emotions and gestures of a person tell a lot about what he or she is trying to convey. While, on the other hand, there is a lot of open interpretation when it comes to texting. People like to text in short terms, and our brain gets accustomed to it, which affects our grammar and vocabulary negatively. Hasn't the creation of emojis crippled human expressions? Nowadays, we don't want to thoughtfully combine words and punctuations to write a beautiful message, but rather we just use an emoji. My worthy opponents, wouldn't you agree that texting has made us monosyllabic? The continuous usage of abbreviations while texting and constantly relying on spell check has already shown a poor performance of students in their written assignments, which is like a nightmare for a language teacher. Texting has indeed ruined our command over language and vocabulary. It leaves me baffled. Is technology enabling or disabling? Is texting progressive or regressive? It is high time to realize that texting is a major threat to our literacy skills. At last, I would like to say, as vocabulary is reduced, so are the number of feelings you can express, the number of things you can describe, the number of events you can explain. Not only understanding is limited, but also experience becomes limited, as vocabulary is a glue that binds content, stories, and ideas together. Thank you.
Thank you, participant Ivan. It is time for the question now.
Hello, Aishi. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Amazing confidence, lot of conviction, nice throw in your voice, very well spoken. Aishi, I've got a question to ask you. Possibly in your generation, you would have not realized the difference which the mobiles and texting has brought into our lives. During our times, we could communicate with our cousins and maximum with the brothers and sisters. It was very difficult to communicate with our friends. And how many friends could you communicate? But in the present world, don't you think that a texting message, possibly in groups, chatting with people and friends, the world has become small? Today, you can talk to your possibly cousins in US and give them a text and ask about their well-being. What do you have to say about use of texting in bringing and making the world smaller and bring the relationship to each other much more closer?
Sir, thank you for your question, first of all. I would like to say that we can't disagree that it indeed has many benefits, but we can't ignore the disadvantages that it has. And I think it has, some way or the other, texting has made us so dependent on features like autocorrect and all these features. And also, we are becoming monosyllabic. Like I myself, I can give my own example. It happens to me that while texting I'm very comfortable with other person with whom I'm communicating, but when he or she is in front of me, I stutter, I fumble, so this happens. So I think texting has its own advantages, but we can't ignore the disadvantages it has. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, and participant with code I1. Now, I would like to request participant with code I2 to present the views on the topic.
Am I audible and visible?
Yes, you are.
Words are important. If you cannot say what you mean, you will never mean what you say, and you should always mean what you say. An exciting afternoon, respected jury members, teachers, and my worthy opponents. This is Kanika. Today, I stand here with my opinions against the topic, texting is hampering our vocabulary. First, let me start by asking you all a question. How can texting hamper our vocabulary when it is the very tool that connects and conveys our ideas and thought at a lightning speed in the digital age? Texting is not detrimental as my worthy opponents have assumed. On the contrary, it's beneficial, especially to the children. Research indicates that the children who text frequently tend to be better readers. The more proficient a child is at texting, the more proficient he or she is at reading or spelling standard English. Texting has knowingly or unknowingly improved our command over the English language and grammar skills. I've seen my friends talk more fluently in English over the course of past few years. We certainly have more conversations with the help of all those fun acronyms and abbreviations. Wouldn't you all agree with me on this, that texting is fun? Texting is fun because it gives us the freedom to play and experiment with the language without regards of the spelling and punctuation rules. Studies actually show that if we have fun while doing some activities, we are more likely to learn and appreciate other forms and activities related to it. And if we are enjoying the fun of texting and using language in this way, we are more likely to learn and appreciate other literacy-based endeavors as well, further increasing our interest in the language. Texting exposes children to text in new ways and serves as a mental exercise to sharpen their understanding of the English. What is more, texting is being used to actually help literacy in developing countries. When we are regularly analyzing sentences and making a decision about which words to drop in ever-changing context over text, we are doing grammar exercises without even realizing it. Texting is not hampering our vocabulary. Instead, it's helping us with the command over it. It does not hamper. It helps in vocabulary formation, effective communication, and appropriate expression. Changes in language and vocabulary over time are not only unavoidable, but are also expected and common. We cannot avoid it. Language is not the same today as it was when it originated. It's not the same today as it was 2 weeks ago. In the age of technology, it is unavoidable and an integral part of our daily life. We're unable to avoid it. It does not hamper our vocabulary. Instead, it's helping us with the command over it. With this, I would like to rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, participant I2. I request Dipali ma'am to come and ask her question.
Hello, Kanika.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Kanika, yes, texting is a lot of fun, as you said. But while having all the fun with texting, we seem to be losing our connect with the serious part of the language, the purer part of the language. And since we seem to be moving more towards texting and having a playful time with language, we seem to be losing touch with what is the real language. And it is said that when we do not use something for too long, we tend to lose it. And the same seems to be true for language. with the advent of texting. What do you have to say? How would you justify this loss?
First of all, thank you so much, ma'am, for the question. Now, coming on the question that texting is fun. You agree with me that texting is fun, and even I am sure that we're losing somehow the real part of the language and English. But I think this generation is very much aware what are we supposed to do with the friends and what are we supposed to do with the elders or teachers. The serious part of the language is still somewhere in the back of our minds. We're using it when it's needed. For example, if I talk with my friends, I'll talk more fluently with all those fun abbreviations and acronyms. But if I'm having a conversations with my teacher or someone elder, example, my grandfather, I might not use those all words and stuff. The real language, the essence of language is still there in our mind. We're using it actually like in debates. I'm here talking fluently in normal, proper language instead of using all those acronyms and abbreviations here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and participant with code I2. Now, I would like to request participant with code J1 to present the views on the topic.
Thank you so much for having me here. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so I'd like to start now. I remember I asked my father one day, "What's up?" And he said, "The fan and the ceiling." Isn't that funny? Well, it is funny, but it is not. A very good afternoon to one and all present here. I am participant J1 and I will be speaking for the motion. Texting is hazardous to our vocabulary. Texting is a very common way of communication. As a matter of fact, communication has improved in all of these years. We can be communicating with anyone sitting in our homes millions and millions of miles away. That is the positive aspect. But we cannot ignore the negative aspects as well. We tend to use short forms, abbreviations, mnemonics, and various other things to text between our friends and peer groups. That, my friends, hampers with our vocabulary. Suppose, hypothetically, you are in an examination hall and you're supposed to write Akbar is a great king. And instead of writing GREAT great, you write GR8 great, unconsciously. Not consciously, but unconsciously. You do that unconsciously, my friends, because that is how deep your vocabulary has been hampered with. That is how deep the word GR8 is in your mind. That is the one side of the coin. Now let's come to the next side of the coin. We tend to mix up our language, our mother tongue, with English while writing sentences. For example, I'm supposed to be imagining something which is sweet. I'm supposed to be writing that I like to eat sweets. And instead of the word sweet, I think of the word meetha. And I write the word meetha instead of the word sweet. For that part of the word, for that part of my mind, whenever I will think of the word meetha or sweet, of the word meetha, I will imagine sweet things, but I will not think of the word sweet. That is how I have confined my vocabulary for the word sweet or meetha to all the things sweet. That is how I have hampered with it. I also would like to, bring up the thing that it's not necessary that our speaking skills are good, then we are done with the language. Our writing skills also need to be good. They need to be in equilibrium with each other. If someone can speak good English, if someone can speak good French, that does not mean that that person can write it as well. Actually, sir asked a question to one of the participants that we tend to say good morning and we tend to write GM. We don't say GM to other people. Well, first of all, we're not supposed to write GM to our teachers because that is disrespectful, in my opinion. And if we do write GM, that is disrespectful to the language itself. Now I come to the other aspect of it. We in this generation we tend to say that we are not able to understand classic literature, and then we blame the classic literature and we blame the writers. They are not to be blamed. Our language style needs to be blamed. In conclusion, I'd like to say that in the way we write, the casuality of the language need not be reflected, but the beauty of it. Thank you.
Thank you, participant J1. It is time for the question.
Hello, Anya. How are you?
Hello, sir. I'm fine. How are
Very
you?
well spoken, Anya. You gave two nice examples of GR8, and beta. But tell me one thing: why is psychology spelled with P and why is the no K-N-O-W and N-O sound same, and for that matter, knife starts with K, but we know that knife starts with K. So don't you feel that there is an adaptation which is required to the changes which are bound to come into our lives? Possibly today we do not take the word GR8 as great, and we feel that it is a wrong use of vocabulary. But it is the final destination which we foresee in the future. So is it not do you feel that it is time that we start adapting to the new generation words and making ourselves more conversant with it and making ourselves more comfortable with it?
So I totally agree with you that we need to be evolving. Well, the world today is evolving day by day, and evolution is the name of change and the name of time, and everything happens as a matter of time. Earlier, we never used to say hi or hey in English, but now we do. It's a part of our daily routine to say hi and hey, and even while texting, we use those words. But you stated that psychology, knives, no, they all have silent letters. If a person is saying these words and does not know the spellings, well, that person is not at par with his writing skills, because he does not write psychology with a P and knife with a K. That person is just speaking it out and knows that it's NIVES, not KNIVES. That is what texting does. That is my point, to be precise, that when you speak them and when you write them, there's a difference, and that is how it embeds in our consciousness that we have to be doing that. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, and participant with code I1. Now, I would like to request participant with code I2 to present the views on the topic.
All right, can I start? I'll start. Thou hast changed to you have.
Sorry for the interruption. Sorry for the interruption. This is, we have participant with code J2 now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, carry on. Sorry.
Thou hast has changed to you have, and short abbreviated texts have made their way through not just texting but also telegraphs. Now, telegraphs are regarded as great revolution when it comes to communications. And though they're very similar in a sense to text messages, they're also meant only for the purpose of communication, and they're short, abbreviated usually. Texting is what we blame for hampering our vocabulary. We're all sitting here debating, right? And I don't feel that any of us are necessarily struggling with vocabulary, though we are the generation that relies on texting the most. Greetings, respected judges, my teammate and worthy opponents. I am Durva Sthana, my code is J2, and I believe that texting is not hampering our vocabulary. So I'll begin by characterizing the motion. Texting is hampering our vocabulary. So texting is distorting the way we use words. I would also like to emphasize on the fact that we will not be discussing how we pronounce words, only how we write them. So to say that texting is what is hampering our vocabulary would mean that texting is a source of literary influence or literary information, which it is not. Texting is only meant to be a means of communication. And if we respect it as a source of information, or if we allow texting to influence us so much so that it distorts the way we communicate with people, then I'm not sure who is at fault here, the person who lets this happen or texting in and of itself. Besides this, texting is not something that has introduced the concept of abbreviation. Excuse me. Texting only makes use of it. Abbreviations have existed for long before texting and outside of texting as well. Whether we talk about note making, academics, medicine, law, court proceedings, record keeping, all of these things on a daily basis make use of abbreviations because they're simply efficient. We might say WEF with effect from, WRT with respect to, TBC to be continued. Does this mean that using abbreviations to increase the efficiency of our work, increase the efficiency of our communication, is what is hampering our vocabulary? That is not true. Using abbreviations in professional spheres is used as a means of effectiveness. Then why is it that we excuse me, blame it outside of that sphere? Texting has served only to revolutionize communication, and also further the evolution of language. Language changes every day, even as we speak. And to simply blame texting rather than the literary influences that we're being exposed to for hampering our vocabulary is both unfair and irrelevant. The real question that we should be asking is what is the standard of our literary influence for us to take in consideration how we text. With that, I rest my case.
Thank you, participant J2. It is time for the question.
Hello, Durba. How are you doing?
I'm fine, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. And I really enjoyed listening to you because you had some very unique points that grabbed my attention. I would like to share rather discuss something with you and then ask you a question based on that. We seem to be placing a lot of onus on the creator of texts or these text messages to take charge of his or her own language development. Right now, most of these are young children, young adults who are still learning the language. Don't you think we are essentially ruining our own possibilities to grow by falling prey to temptations, temptations of resorting to shortcuts at such an early age?
To resort to shortcuts at such an early age. The question here is still of communication, right? We're talking about effective communication. How we develop languages depend upon how we're brought up, essentially. We mostly learn languages while we are younger. So most of us, we may learn new words here and there, but our basis of languages have already been formed, right? So if my parents, especially, they introduce me to good books, Ruskin Bond, Sudha Murthy, these kinds of things, and I grew up that way. If I were to be exposed to a different sort of media, which may not have been these books, my English would have developed differently. The only question here is how I put this to use when I'm communicating with people. And if I'm able to put forward what I'm trying to say clearly, even if it is abbreviated, then I think, excuse me, that the purpose of communication itself is protected. It's not defeated in that way. Language only matters as much as only matters maybe not so much, but the main point is that you should be able to communicate. If you're able to do so clearly, then I don't think it's a problem if you use shortcuts here. I hope that answers the question. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Durba.
Thank you, everybody. With this, the SN Ganju Interschool debate comes to an end. We are done with all the participants, and I am really thankful to all the participants for putting forth their views with confidence and articulation. Very soon, we'll be sharing the results with you. But before that, I would just like to add on that we are privileged to have with us one of our judges, Brigadier Uttam Huppu, sir. Sir, we would like you to please address the August gathering.
Thank you, Prachi ma'am. Thank you for inviting us firstly, and making us listen to these wonderful ideas and debate with the young budding generation. It has been absolutely a pleasure to hear all of them, and it has been a privilege to attend and be a part of this annual function, the debate competition. I just want to tell all the participants that there is nothing right and there is nothing wrong. A debate is meant to generate ideas. It is meant to bring forward, counter views to what you must be thinking, so that you start scratching your mind and giving a thought to the other side of the aspect which you possibly would have never thought of. So all the participants were very, very promising. They spoke very well. The language control was very nice. They could put across their views very, very beautifully. One tends to learn from even the young students who are bringing out across these points. So it has been absolutely a pleasure. All the very best to all the participants and the school for conducting such a beautiful event. And it's been a pleasure to be here. My compliments and my all the and best regards to all the students and to the school and staff. It has been also a pleasure to hear from Dipali ma'am. The way she put across her questions and her viewpoint was a pleasure to hear. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir, I totally agree. I mean, the questions put forward by Dipali ma'am and you, they were truly, truly interesting. And I'm sure must have given a very good time to our participants. Very soon we'll be sharing with you all the results. Each flower has a countenance blooming in it. Each countenance infects us with a smile. And with the same smile, I would just like you all to enjoy some performances prepared by our students.
कौशल्या दशरथ के नंदन राम ललाटते शोभित चंदन रघुपति की जय बोले लक्ष्मण राम सिया का हो अभिनंदन अंजनी बोध पड़े हैं चरण में राम सिया जपते तन में मंगल भवन अमंगल हारी द्रवहु सुदशरथ अजर बिहारी राम सिया राम जय जय 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 मेरे तन मन धड़कन में सिया राम राम है मन मंदिर के दर्पण में सिया राम राम है तू ही सिया का राम राधा का तू ही श्याम जन्मों जन्म का ये साथ है मीरा का तू भजन भजते हरि पवन तुलसी में भी लिखिए बात है वे मंगल भवन अमंगल हारी द्रवहु सुदशरथ अजर बिहारी राम सिया राम जय जय 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 राम
बाबूजी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो बाबूजी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो वसु अमौलिक दी मेरे सतगुरु वसु अमौलिक दी मेरे सतगुरु कृपा कर अपनायो बाबूजी मैंने कृपा कर अपनायो बाबूजी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो बाबूजी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो जन्म जन्म की पूंजी पाई जन्म जन्म की पूंजी पाई जग सभी खपायो पायो जी मैंने जग में सभी खपायो पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो खरच न खूटे चोर न लूटे खरच न खूटे चोर न लूटे दिन दिन बढ़त सभायो पायो जी मैंने दिन दिन बढ़त सभायो पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो मीरा के प्रभु गिरिधर नागर मीरा के प्रभु गिरिधर नागर हर्ष हर्ष जस गायो पायो जी मैंने हर्ष हर्ष जस गायो पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो
I know you all are waiting with bated breath for the results. Give us a little time and we'll be there with the results.
और चारों मेल हुई मिलाट से आया मारा पवना के स्वागत करा मेरी साथ गाजे गाजे गुंडे तब नौरी रे किलकारी रे धनुष बन अभिनंदन करता छाई धगा भंडारी रे चक्कर भागो ढाकी भागो हुई जतन किए तैयारी रे मन हर जाओ धन बन जाओ धन सुखवारो धीरे आयो रे शुभ दिन आयो música no discrimina a nadie, así que vamos a como la piel. Hago música que se tiene. Mi música dice, no te enganches a bailar. कोई जो मिला तो मुझे ऐसा लगा
We're still in the process of result calculation. Please bear with us for a few more minutes. All right, everybody. So here comes the big moment, something for which we all have been waiting for quite a long time, although it was a shorter one, but seemed very long. I would like to request our principal, ma'am, Mrs. Prabha Gupta, to kindly declare the results.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you everyone who is part of this session for your time and patience. What a brainstorming session it was. And thank you all the participants for your insights. It is lovely to learn from the younger ones. And thank you, judges, Brigadier Uttam Singh ji and Dipali ma'am. Your questions definitely have added value to today's session. Change is inevitable, and our generation, and rather everybody, tends to learn change. And whosoever makes any choice, we need to own up the consequences of our choices also. So when we do texting, everybody has discussed at a stretch what are the pros and cons of texting. I think for our generation, texting is just an effort to bridge the generation gap. I still remember LOL was a mystery for me for many years, and my kids used to smile a lot. Anyhow, it is time for the results. Each and every participant was very confident and brilliant in conveying and putting across their point. But since we have to declare the results, so the first position for the motion goes to the candidate B1, Vaibhavi. Congratulations, Vaibhavi. And for against the motion, the prize goes to the candidate A2, Gauri. And the best team award goes to the team J. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you for the beautiful session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Very soon we'll be flashing the results for you all once again. May I please request Mrs. Ranjana Gandhi to propose the vote of thanks?
Good afternoon, Honorable Management Member, Eminent Jury, Principal Ma'am, dear teachers and lovely participants. I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this momentous occasion today. First and foremost, I would like to convey my sincere thanks to Honorable Shipuri Sir, Ganju Sir for their constant support. No program of school can be wholesome or complete Without having your presence and inspiring words, your presence has indeed made this event a memorable one. On behalf of Vishwabhati Dwarka fraternity, I would like to express our deepest sense of gratitude from the bottom of my heart to our learned jury members for sparing their valuable time and joining us today. I am also thankful to our respected principal ma'am who had been the guiding light throughout for the smooth proceeding of this event. We extend our profound and heartfelt thanks to all the principals and teachers of various participating schools for allowing and preparing their students for the war of words today, who have worked day and night to make this program a successful one. I would be failing in my duty if I do not thank all my teachers who have made this day possible. We have been fortunate enough to be supported by our activity department, computer department, and English department. Without their unparalleled support and incredible cooperation, this event would not have been possible. Special love and thanks to all the zealous and confident participants for superstar of the day, who I am sure will turn out to be good orator in future. Special mention and thanks to Ayush Prabhakar, Rishabh Jha, Shriya Das, Avantika, Vedang, Ayush Singh from to lend their selfless support from behind the curtain for the successful execution to the today's event. Thank you. We will meet next year again.
I can't even find. I thought मैंने तो believe कर दिया देखने जरा कहाँ but उन्होंने हमें तो I'm so disappointed.
We'll be soon flashing the results here on screen once again. Many congratulations to all the winners. The best speaker for the motion, the best speaker against the motion, and the best team. Congratulations once again. So here on screen, we have the results for you all. Once again, many congratulations to the winners. The best team goes to Mount Carmel. Thank you so much, everybody. It was indeed a pleasure to have you all here. Thank you so much. See you all next year.